Imagine free-falling from 33,000 feet. No parachute, no safety net, just the howling wind and the cold reality that you are about to die. And yet, against every law of physics, when rescuers found the wreckage, one heartbeat was still ticking. It was January 26, 1972. Belgrade was waking up to another winter morning, cold, gray, but ordinary. Vesna Vulović, a 22-year-old Serbian flight attendant for JAT Airways, pulled her wool coat tighter as she walked to the bus stop. She was running late, though not by much. Her flight that day was heading from Copenhagen to Belgrade, with a stop in Zagreb. Vesna had no idea she'd been mistakenly assigned to this flight, a twist of fate so small and so absurd that, in hindsight, it's hard not to wonder if destiny had written her name into history before the sun even rose that day. She thought the day would be just another routine trip, serving coffee and smiling for passengers. She was wrong. The aircraft was a McDonnell Douglas DC-9, Flight 367. In the 1970s, flying felt glamorous. Passengers wore suits and dresses. The air was filled with cigarette smoke and the quiet murmur of conversation. Vesna greeted each traveler with a warm smile, offering them the kind of gentle hospitality that made passengers remember her. At 4:01 p.m., the plane took off from Copenhagen under a clear Scandinavian sky. The first leg of the trip was calm. Vesna served drinks, laughed with a colleague about a new hairstyle, and mentally planned her evening in Belgrade. She was just like any other young woman in the world, thinking about what she'd eat for dinner, maybe a movie, maybe seeing friends. But high above the snowy hills of Czechoslovakia, a hidden danger was waiting. At 4:41 p.m., without warning, the DC-9 erupted into chaos. A deafening boom tore through the cabin. The lights went out. The floor beneath Vesna seemed to vanish. She didn't know it then, but a briefcase bomb had detonated in the luggage compartment. The force ripped the plane apart at 33,000 feet. Metal screamed and twisted. A wall of air and debris tore through the cabin. Passengers, still strapped in their seats, were sucked out into the freezing sky. And Vesna? She was slammed against a food cart, pinned inside a small section of the fuselage. Then, everything went black. Alnu. For the next 3 minutes, Vesna was falling, trapped inside a torn fragment of the DC-9, tumbling through the winter air at over 300 miles per hour. Outside, the temperature was minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit. The wind was a relentless, invisible hammer against her unconscious body. The earth raced upward, a patchwork of white and brown. When the wreckage hit the ground, it landed in a snow-covered hillside near the village of Srpska Kamenica. Miraculously, the slope and the thick snow absorbed some of the impact. The fuselage smashed into the earth, crumpling like a tin can. Somehow, Vesna's heart was still beating. Beneath the twisted wreckage, there was movement. A villager named Bruno Honke, a former World War II medic, heard the explosion in the distance and rushed toward the crash site. What he found was a scene of devastation. Twisted metal, the smell of jet fuel, silence. No survivors. Until he saw her. A young woman, bloodied, with both legs broken, a fractured skull, and 3 crushed vertebrae, but breathing. Her uniform was torn, her face was barely recognizable, yet somehow she clung to life. Bruno worked quickly, keeping her airway clear, preventing her from going into shock. Without his actions, she might have been gone before help arrived. Vesna was airlifted to a hospital in Prague. She slipped into a coma for 27 days. When she woke up, she had no memory of the crash, only a deep confusion about why her mother was crying at her bedside. Doctors told her she had fallen from the sky, the highest fall ever survived without a parachute. Her injuries were catastrophic: fractured skull, crushed legs, broken ribs, deep lacerations. And yet, she lived. To this day, no one knows exactly why Vesna survived when no one else did. Some say it was the section of fuselage that acted like a shield. Others credit the snow-covered slope. and some, including Vesna Vulović, believed it was pure luck. The official investigation revealed that the bomb was likely planted by Croatian nationalists targeting the airline. No one was ever convicted. Most people would never want to fly again. Vesna? Chuckle. She returned to work for the airline, not as a flight attendant, but on the ground, greeting passengers. She became a symbol of resilience in Yugoslavia, appearing in interviews but always insisting she was just a normal person who got lucky. Her story became part of aviation history, earning her a place in the Guinness World Records as the person who survived the highest fall without a parachute. Vesna Vulović passed away in 2016 at the age of 66. Her survival remains one of the most astonishing human endurance stories ever told. And perhaps the most haunting part is this: she never remembered the fall. The 3 minutes between life and death were erased from her mind, leaving only the facts and the miracle. Some say it was fate. Some say it was physics. But for Vesna Vulović, it was life, a second chance carved from the wreckage of an impossible fall. And as long as the sky calls to us, her story will remain a reminder. Even when everything breaks apart, sometimes something survives.